The following program may contain subjects of an adult nature. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Welcome back. Guys, we got a WhatsApp question. Just wanted to touch this briefly. It's from a young lady, a sister, and she cited that she's been married for 3 years and she hasn't seen her husband. She's basically got married 3 years ago. They spent a week together, and since then they're essentially their communication has been over the phone. She's in the UK, he's in the Middle East, and I believe it's an issue for her. So there's a few aspects or questions that arise. Like, first of all, is this permissible? Is this okay? Does this invalidate the marriage in any way or challenge?
It doesn't invalidate the marriage, okay? And it's only permissible in the sense that if both people agree, right, that they be away from each other for whatever reason, study, work, or what have you, right? Nevertheless, it can be grounds for divorce if she wants to be divorced in terms of the husband not performing his conjugal duties with respect to the marriage. It's a possibility. I don't get the impression that she's into a divorce, right? They said that she's they substitute that their relationship by a telephone
communication. Yeah.
Okay, that telephone relationship, we can assume it to take all kinds of levels
between husband and wife,
between husband and wife, and so on, right? And this is not a healthy way to go for such a long time, for 3 years. It definitely is not. So what this woman should be, she should be doing with her husband is that they should be negotiating. They should be actually negotiating how they can spend more physical time together. Whether she takes holidays in Dubai or he takes holidays in England, where she might be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That type of stuff. I don't think there's any excuse for them to be away for 3 years.
It's a long time.
Okay, without any kind of physical contact, without seeing themselves, seeing each other. You know.
Unless the brother's incarcerated in the Middle East or something like that. Yeah.
So they have to work something like that out. You know, for example, in Islam, it says, as a ballpark type of a figure, that it is allowable for a man and woman to have physical relationships once every 4 months. That's just a ballpark figure. But basically, if that is not satisfactory for either of the parties, okay, the other party has to fulfill the rights and needs of that particular person. Okay? So they have to talk about this and work things out.
Okay.
I think that's a really good question. We thank the sister for sending it in. This happens quite a lot for various reasons. You can have a partner who is working abroad or studying abroad, and they simply can't drum up the funds to travel back home. I personally know someone who works on an oil rig, so they can't make the commute back to mainland.
Yeah, very difficult.
So, and it's expensive because you've got to think about, the expenses of getting back and forth. But this really needs to be discussed, because a lot of the time what I find is once people get married, the male just assumes that you're my wife now. So, whatever happens, you should be happy that I'm trying to earn a living, and you've just got to roll with the punches. But you're not incorporating everything else that goes on in the marriage, just the emotional support, the psychological support, the companionship. And, as with anything, every relationship, be it a friendship, a business relationship, takes work and effort, and you can lose that. And the problem with phone conversations and Skype is the person's not there. You could be experiencing so many things throughout the day, and if you have that one window to communicate, it's difficult. It's almost like having a relationship with someone who's incarcerated, with a telephone on the other side, and you're still trying to continue life. So I think this is something that does need to be discussed, and definitely frequent visits are good, because you can just grow out of touch with somebody, and
you can grow apart.
Yes, exactly. So
and it sounds as if the husband's missing out. It's just that we haven't heard his side of the story. But I mean, he could be, obviously he's away from his wife as much as she's away from him, right? So
yeah,
they
the
both
other
miss
issue
out.
is a lot of women also have the fear that if it's been quite a considerable amount of time, how are your needs being met? Because I'm not physically there. And some people want to block that out of their minds as to how that is being done.
If it's being done.
If it's being done. So I think they should really try and find a way to get to see each other. Maybe in a country that's somewhere in the middle if you can't travel all the way there, or
But they got to try and get some time
you have to
together.
invest time and resources
Yeah.
in that very important aspect of the relationship if they want their marriage to continue.
I think so.
Hope that answers the question.
Alhamdulillah. All right, we'll go to our second letter, and it's from a brother in London. It reads, "Dear It Takes Two, I am really annoyed as my wife has a habit of going out and telling people things about our household and makes me look like someone who does not care of his family or care for his family. Even when talking to the children, she has nothing positive to say about any part of our life. She is always telling the children how we don't have money and how things are a struggle, and this irritates me because I give her money. What should I do? This is becoming embarrassing." Sheikh, I'd like to start with yourself.
Yeah.
Is this something that you hear from time to time?
Yes. First of all, the Quran says, you are a clothing for your woman and your women are clothing for yourselves. Meaning meaning somebody who protects your shame. One of the very important characteristics mentioned in Islam about the ideal wife is that the ideal wife is one who hides her husband's, protects her husband's interests. Hides his shame.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, this woman is not doing that, which is not right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. At the same time, she has some frustrations. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. So there's a couple of wrong things going on here. One is how she's responding to that, right? Which is telling her neighbors and her friends, which is not good, right? And also passing that frustration on to her children, which is also poor.
Double not good. That's
poor. Child rearing techniques.
And can be damaging to
right?
children.
When we pass on your fight with your husband to your kids.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is we're seeing it from the perspective of this man, not from her perspective, right?
Exactly.
But there must be something that this man is not doing that makes her frustrated like this. So my advice to this man would be that he needs to seriously look at, she's already saying what is wrong, right? Seriously look at what she is saying and try to make amends for it. Okay.
What if it's true? Like in a sense that it's strapped for cash. We're in an economy where it is tight for cash for a lot of people.
Yes.
He's giving it his best shot, but they are strapped for cash at times.
Yes. Well, then it is something that he needs to talk to her about. Okay. She should be able to speak with him about strategies to get more cash flow. So that if she has some ownership into how she participates in helping him or suggesting to him how to make the cash flow
little part-time job for her
then
or
she
something.
can't blame him. On the other hand, he has
it's a team effort, right?
It's a team effort.
Yeah.
Again, I think we're making a lot of assumptions, which is what we can only do when we have these letters. There could be a couple of factors here. She may be used to a certain lifestyle. We don't know what's happened, and there may have been an economic change in the household. It might be a simple thing from
Does
what
that make it all right for her to go out?
I was going to come to that.
Okay.
So what I was going to say is, it seems like he's got wind of something's happened. Now, what could have happened was she could have been on the phone. She could have just been, talking to some friends, just offloading, as a lot of us do, as women do. When we have friends, we might share some experiences. It's not intentional that we want to make anyone look bad, but we might just be saying, there's things that need to be taken care of and they're not. And it might be just an ego thing for him. We just don't know, that he feels like, oh, you've told the world my business, oh my God. But that it could just be as simple as that she's just airing her views. Mm-hmm. She feels a bit of frustration, and it might be a fact that, with children, they always want something. She's saying to them, I don't have the money. Go ask your dad. If you want this, go and ask your dad to find a way to get you this thing. And he may feel in himself that he may feel inadequate, or as he said, he's trying his best, but trying your best isn't always good enough, Mm-hmm. So again, I don't think we should come down and be like, oh, she's purposely humiliating him. That's his perception. But as the Sheikh said,
Is he entitled to that perception, though? Because I'm just thinking...
Well, no, I don't think he's entitled to that perception.
No, but I'm thinking, if the coffee is cold or the curry hasn't got enough spice in it or whatever, and he's saying to his friend, you know, he just, I got to offload, man. I mean, what's wrong with this woman, man? And his food is salty, you know, she don't make no time for me.
I don't have a problem with that. If you're
she's good, like he's
no,
good with
I don't think there's a problem with it. There's no problem with sharing your feelings, but you don't humiliate someone. And the way that he's interpreting it is that he's internalizing it when it shouldn't be doing that. It's a team effort. I think he's upset that other people know that there's a problem, but everyone has problems. You know, it's not a big deal.
Everybody should know everybody's problems. Right?
No, but she's not saying. She's probably not saying all that she wants to say.
He feels like he's well. It sounds like he said he's well.
A lot in this thing.
Yeah.
Using a lot of things.
Well, what I'm thinking is, you know, she said it to somebody, or he's heard that something's been said, and his nose is a bit out of place.
But look, I mean, it's on the
And
surface,
so.
she has spoken about this to somebody who should not have knowledge about this. She has spoken about this, and he feels bad about it. Okay, what is riba? What is backbiting? Right, backbiting is defined, right, as telling somebody else something about a third party, which would make that third party upset when they find out that you told that person. And it doesn't mean if it's not the truth. In fact, backbiting is talking the truth, right, about a third party, that the third party would be upset about what that other person is saying. As this is opposed to slander. When you tell somebody something that is not true about somebody else.
Point. People mix that up because they think, no,
Well,
I'm not backbiting because it's true. This did happen.
And that person would feel bad. This is slander. Slander is also a haram in Islam. Okay? Here's a wife telling somebody something about her husband that he does not like. Okay? Right? And in this case, she's wrong.
But the point is, I'm sure, if she is of sound mind, she's not doing it with the intention of hurting anybody. She may be just offloading to her sister, her friend, look, there isn't any money coming in, blah, blah, blah.
Backbiting need not be done with the intention of hurting somebody. Backbiting is just done when you're speaking about somebody else.
So she should internalize this.
Well, they do say loose lips sink ships, you know.
She should internalize this. In other words, in Islam, you have certain people you can offload upon.
Right.
All right? You know, she could offload upon, let's say, his father, right? His mother.
I really can't see him being overjoyed.
That type of a thing. To somebody who can do something to change his behavior. She could go and offload to her sheikh, all right? Or to somebody with responsibility, not to her friends. Right, who meet with him all the time or something.
Or one friend tells one friend who tells one friend who tells one friend.
You would be fine if somebody went to your resident alim and said X, Y, and Z
about
you, rather than
I would say
go to a friend who you have a relationship with and vent.
I would feel like if I wasn't, well, anyway. Some people may feel that, wow, my wife just threw me under the bus.
I don't think
put my business on Main Street.
That is different. Riba is not riba if you go to somebody who has some kind of skill or some kind of authority or some kind of profession, that can intermediate on that or give proper advice on that issue. Yes, the person you're talking about might be upset or don't want you to speak to such a person, okay?
Yeah, that's different though.
From a very therapeutic and from a different point of view.
But this may have
because it's solution focused, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This may have happened in this instant, we don't know. But I just wanted to say there are groups there are sections, you know, in the ladies' society that, and it's culturally related to that, it's almost fashionable to bring your husband down. It's something that people do. It's like, well, you know, my husband doesn't this, well, my husband doesn't do this, that, and the other. And it's also almost like socially accepted to berate their partners. But it does happen, but I really don't think, I'm hoping this is not what the sister was doing. I tend to think that she was just venting her feelings. He caught wind of it and just misinterpreted it. Maybe she was looking for some advice, we don't know. But if that isn't the case, then obviously, you know, we must remind each other that we should have each other's backs. And if there's a problem that you feel that it can't be solved, as the Sheikh said, do go to someone that can hopefully mediate and help.
I hear that. I was thinking also, it does mention that she tells the children. He mentioned that, you know, she tells the children, but you're right, there is a context that if she's telling the children because genuinely there's certain things we can't afford, or, you know, as a family we're going through X. I think if a wife communicates that in a certain way, it can be positive and it can just be realistic and, you know, given the context of how things are going in the household. But there's another way where it could reflect badly on the dad. So we pray, inshallah, that it's it's you know, in a positive sense, but maybe just a little bit sensitive.
So walk on eggshells, basically. Subhanallah.
Alhamdulillah. But if you're okay, we can
Yes.
move on to the next scenario, which is a very intriguing letter, if I say so myself. The letter reads, "Dear It Takes Two. Before I married my husband, I was in another relationship which was a halal, but unfortunately did not work out as much as we wanted it to. I thought I had given myself enough time to get over it, and alhamdulillah, I got married to a great guy. The problem is when it comes to intimacy, my current relationship is not like my previous relationship. I feel bad because I cannot help the way I feel. Is there something wrong with me? As much as I care about my marriage, the physical side of the relationship does not really compare to the relationship I had in the past, and I don't want to be committing a sin by thinking of someone else. What can I do?" This is from an anonymous viewer in Canada. A very brave sister, and we're very grateful that she trusted us with her information to, you know, write in, and hope we can do, inshallah, I'll do some justice to that letter. But it's an extremely sensitive area.
Very
what say
loaded.
you, Ruby? What say you? I have my thoughts, and I'm bursting at the seams, but I will. I'll
If
hold
you're
on.
bursting,
I'll-
please go
I'll
ahead.
hold on for the minute.
What are my thoughts? I think, you know, Allah bless her for writing in. It's a very genuine thing, and not many people would be brave enough to admit that they may be suffering from such things. It's a difficult one, and this is, I'm kind of stumped as to what to say here, only because I have always said that relationships for girls may be a lot different to what it is for men. We have the saying in the West that you always remember your first love, or whatever that is, your first relationship. And I do believe that in females there's a lot of emotional and psychological things that go behind that, especially when you're talking about physical intimacy and stuff. And I do believe that, you know, she's genuinely tried in her relationship, but there's something lacking. Maybe she hasn't healed or gotten over, as she put it, that person or that time in her life. Maybe, you know, that time in her life were very happy times, and she's going through whatever in her relationship that is making her think about her first relationship. But obviously that relationship is now over, and she has to focus on how to manage with this one. But I'm gonna, you interjected at the end.
No, I'm just, it's a really striking letter, because one, I think, I can't say it feeds into, but this is like a fear that I hear from so many brothers when it comes to marrying women that have been married already, that amongst Muslim men, I mean, not in general, not in the West, like not non-Muslim men, but Muslim men in particular, you have this thing about, you know, virginity and purity, and, you know, it's respected in Islam, but I'm just saying, like, this letter kind of feeds into certain nightmares, because a lot of men, I want to say inadequacy, or, you know, lack of assuredness in that area will make them fantasize of this is what's going to happen if I marry a woman who's been married.
You could say the same about women who marry somebody, a man who's been divorced or been in a prolonged relationship, and now they come along and they have to start fresh, or they have to come along into a situation where the male has children and be the stepmom or whatever you want to call it. So it works both ways.
It works both ways, but I don't see that it's anecdotal. But in terms of my coming into contact and
I don't think females would readily, as the sister has put, readily come forth and be that open to say, look, I'm having issues with...
We've had more, even letters from brothers who said, I want to marry this sister, but I'm worried because she's been... So I'm not criticizing, I'm just... I guess I'm speaking descriptively as opposed to prescriptively. I'm not saying what it should and shouldn't be, I'm just describing the reality that a lot of brothers find that tricky, and she's, you know, just named it.
In that situation, what the brothers need to look at is, have the woman gotten over the previous relationships, and what are the telltale signs that she has? Not only lip service that, you know, I do want to marry you and I'm fine, but how do we know? So there's things that they need to check so that they don't feel that they're comparing themselves to anybody else. But I think with I'll bring the sheikh in and then I'll give my prescription.
Seems to be focused on the physical side, but what say you, Shay? What say you?
When most women who have had a physical relationship with a man before, and they get involved with another person after that relationship, if that person, the second person, does not adequately satisfy that person, that woman, especially if that second person might have maybe certain deficiencies and so forth, right, like ED and things like that, right, erectile dysfunction and so forth and so on, that person will automatically always remember the satisfying relationship they had before. This is what she's saying here. Because she says, I don't want to I don't want to be involved in this physical relationship with him and thinking about somebody else. All right? When that relationship, that second relationship, is adequate enough to satisfy that particular person, okay? Especially women. It happens with men too, but not to the same extent, interestingly. All right? But especially with women. Right? If that relationship does not come to par with respect to the relationship before, or not excel the one before, they will always remember that previous relationship. And this is what this woman is suffering from. What she can do.
You say
okay?
Suffering
From.
It is a form of
what
suffering.
she can do. Okay, what can she do? She, first of all, these types of relationships are relationships that can be learned. You can learn how to be a better performer on a physical level.
Yeah.
All right? You can know this.
Yeah.
All right? So what they need to do is just talk, to cooperate, for her to tell her what she wants out of that relationship.
Yeah.
Okay? And try to coach him and to be with him and take him along the way with respect to what she needs. One of the problems between couples is that they are too embarrassed.
Yeah.
Okay, to communicate what they need from each other in a physical intimacy relationship. Okay, this can be overcome, but with cooperation and communication and honesty, right, without people feeling inadequate or challenged and so on. Because, for example,
or judge.
Because that husband has much more to lose. She doesn't have to tell him about what.
No. She should not tell him, I believe.
But she should be able to find other ways of showing him what she requires in that particular relationship, and they should be fine.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
We're gonna, you know, just like Batman, you know, we're gonna stop just in the middle of the the interesting part, and we hope to see you on the other side. But remember, you can call an outro 3515-1234. But until then, assalamu alaikum.